All right, sports fans, you're ready for this. Today we're going to take a deep dive into something that's causing a bit of a stir in the NFL. It's a play. It's a controversial play. Some people love it, some people hate it. We're talking about the Tush Push. You got to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on more deep dives just like this one. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it or heard of it, the Tush Push is essentially a quarterback sneak, but with a little extra oomph. Picture this. The offensive line basically becomes like a human bulldozer, pushing the quarterback from behind. They're using all their might to get those crucial extra inches, whether it's for a first down or even a touchdown. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, they've really become the masters of this play, using it with remarkable success, I got to say. But all this success has led to, well, some controversy. That's right. There's actually a proposal on the table right now, reportedly, from the Green Bay Packers to ban the Tush Push. They're citing safety concerns. But the Eagles head coach, Nick Sirianni, well, he's not having any of it. He's come out swinging, calling the proposed ban at this insulting. He argues that teams are just trying to take away a competitive edge. I mean, you got to admire his passion, right? Now, Sirianni, he makes a pretty good point. He says the Tush Push isn't some kind of guaranteed success. It requires practice, skill, and coordination. And to back up his claim, he points to other teams who have tried this and failed. If it was so easy, wouldn't everyone be doing it and succeeding? And get this, he even brings up the Washington Commanders. They actually benched their starting quarterback, Jalen Daniels, in favor of his backup, Marcus Mariota, specifically because they thought Mariota would be better at executing the Tush Push. I mean, think about that. That's how important this play has become. So the big question is this play really a safety hazard, or are teams just, I don't know, maybe a little bit jealous of the Eagles' success? Sirianni seems to think it's the latter. He believes this proposed ban is the direct attempt to take away a legitimate advantage that his team has earned through hard work. His argument is basically, hey, instead of trying to ban it, maybe you should just figure out how to stop it. The NFL is known for teams copying each other, right? If one team finds something that works, everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. But what happens when a team doesn't just copy, but they perfect it? What happens when a play becomes a team's signature move? Well, it seems like some teams think the Eagles have crossed the line. They say the Tush Push has become too effective, maybe even unfair. But Sirianni and the Eagles are pushing back, saying, look, we put in the time, we honed our skills, and now we're reaping the benefits. That's a really clash of philosophies, isn't it? On one side, you have innovation, that relentless pursuit of finding an edge. And on the other side, you have the need for balance and fairness in the game. So where do you draw the line? When does a smart tactic become an unfair advantage? These are the kind of questions we're going to grapple with today, and they apply to more than just the Tush Push. This whole situation really forces us to think about the delicate balance between creativity and fair play in the world of competition. It also highlights how quickly strategies can evolve in a league where even inches can be the difference between winning and losing. But here's another thing to consider. What if banning the Tush Push actually backfires? What if it stifles innovation and makes teams afraid to try something new? I mean, if every time a team finds a successful tactic, it gets banned, what's the incentive to think outside the box? What's the point of pushing the boundaries? Think about the Fosbury flop in high jump. When Dick Fosbury first introduced his revolutionary backwards technique, people thought he was crazy. But guess what? It was so effective that it completely transformed the sport. Now it's the standard. Innovation can be disruptive, right? It challenges the status quo, makes us rethink what's possible. While safety is crucial, we don't want to completely shut down creativity and progress in the game. So is the Tush Push just a clever tactic that's being unfairly targeted? Or is it a genuine threat to the integrity of the game? The debate is definitely raging on. But here's another layer to this story. Could this backlash against the Eagles be a sign of a bigger problem in the NFL? Could it be that some teams are simply struggling to keep up with the evolution of the game? If so many teams are having trouble with the Tush Push, maybe it's not the play itself that's the problem. Maybe it's a lack of coaching, preparation, or player development within those organizations. Think about it. If a team can't stop a relatively basic play like a quarterback sneak with an extra push, what does that say about their coaching staff? Are they effectively scouting their opponents, devising solid game plans, and preparing their players? And what about the players themselves? Are they adaptable? Can they think on their feet and adjust to different situations? Maybe, just maybe, this whole Tush Push controversy is exposing a deeper issue in the NFL, a lack of adaptability and resistance to change. In a league that's constantly evolving, teams that fail to innovate and adapt, well, they're going to fall behind. So the next time you see a team struggling with a Tush Push, don't just blame the play itself. Ask yourself, what could that team be doing differently? How could they be improving their coaching, their preparation, and their player development? Remember, in the NFL, the margins are incredibly small, and sometimes those few inches can be the difference between victory and defeat, between celebrating a touchdown or wondering what went wrong. This whole Tush Push saga has given us a lot to chew on. It's a story about innovation, fierce competition, and the constant drive to find an edge. It challenges our notions of fairness and pushes us to think about the limits of strategy. And it's a stark reminder that in the NFL, just like in life, the only thing that's constant is change. But let's switch gears for a bit here. Let's talk about the safety argument, right? Some people are genuinely worried about the possibility of players getting hurt, and it's understandable. I mean, you've got these massive linemen, right? All pushing and shoving, and the quarterback's right there in the middle of it all. I'm not a doctor or anything, but you don't need a medical degree to see how someone could get injured in that situation. You got bodies flying, legs could get tangled up, players falling awkwardly. And it's a potential recipe for disaster, especially for the quarterback. Often the smallest guy in that pile. But here's the thing, right? Football, it's a violent sport. Injuries are, sadly, kind of part of the game. It's not like quarterbacks are immune to getting hurt on other plays either. They get sacked, they get tackled, they get hit from every direction. So is the tush push really any more dangerous than all those other plays? That's tough to say. I think we need more information, more data, more analysis to really get a handle on the risks. Would be interesting to see if the league has any stats on injuries specifically tied to the tush push. And maybe we need to hear from the players themselves. What do the quarterbacks think? Do they feel safe doing this? Do they think it's too risky? I'd be curious to know their perspective on this whole thing. But even if the data shows that the tush push is statistically more dangerous, does that automatically mean it should be banned? That's where things get really complicated. Because if you start banning every single play that carries a slightly higher risk, well, what's left? We could then have stripping the game down so much that it loses its identity. Football, in its core, it's a physical sport. It demands strength. It demands speed. And yes, it requires a certain amount of risk. If we eliminate all risk, well, we might as well just watch flag football. So there was the solution. Well, maybe it's not about banning the play entirely, but more about finding ways to make it safer. Could there be rule changes or coaching guidelines that reduce the risk without fundamentally changing the play itself? Like maybe you could limit the number of linemen who can push. Or maybe you have rules about how they initiate the push, trying to minimize the chances of players getting tangled up or falling in a bad way. The point is, there might be ways to address those safety concerns without just, banning it outright. But it would take some creative thinking, collaboration between the league, the coaches, and of course the players themselves. But, let's zoom out for a minute. Let's get away from the specifics of the tush push and think about the big picture. This whole controversy really raises some fundamental questions about competition, about innovation in sports. How far is too far when you're trying to gain an advantage? When does a clever tactic cross the line into, something that's unfair? And what role should the rules play in all of this? Should they be mainly about safety, or should they also be about ensuring a level playing field? These are complex questions, and there are no easy answers. But they're important questions to grapple with, not just for football fans, but for anyone who cares about competition. Because at the end of the day, what we're really talking about here is the very essence of the game. What kind of sport do we want football to be? Do we want a game that's constantly evolving, pushing the limits? Or do we want a game that's super regulated, where safety and predictability come before innovation? The tush push controversy, it might seem like a small thing, but it's actually a reflection of a much bigger debate about the future of professional sports. And this debate, it's only going to get more intense as technology advances and athletes keep finding new and creative ways to get ahead. So where do you stand on this? Do you think the tush push is a brilliant innovation, or is it just a dangerous loophole? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thought. And this whole tush push thing, it really got me thinking about coaching and player development in the NFL. Like, step back for a minute, right? Isn't it kind of wild that so many teams are having trouble with this play? I mean, come on, it's not some crazy complicated scheme or anything. We're talking about a quarterback sneak with a little extra push. Pretty basic stuff, right? So why are so many teams struggling to stop it? Well, maybe, just maybe. It's not about the play itself. Maybe it's about how teams are, approaching coaching and player development these days. Could it be that some teams are falling behind when it comes to adapting to the always changing strategies of the game? I mean, are they scouting their opponents effectively? Are they practicing the right techniques? Are they developing players who can think on their feet and adapt to different situations? Tough questions, right? But they're questions that coaches' organizations need to ask themselves, because if you can't figure out how to stop a play like the tush push, a relatively simple play, what did that say about your ability to compete at the highest level? In a league where the difference between winning and losing can be a matter of inches, every little thing matters. Every play, every technique, every coaching decision, it can all make a difference. So maybe, just maybe, this tush push controversy, it's not just about one play, right? Maybe it's a wake-up call for the whole league, a reminder that innovation never stops and that teams need to adapt to survive. The teams that stick with outdated strategies, the teams that fail to evolve, well, they're going to get left behind. But the teams that embrace change, encourage creativity, and really push the limits of coaching and player development, those are the teams that are going to thrive. In the NFL, things are always changing. You got to keep up. So what is the tush push? Unstoppable force, safety hazard, or just a clever little tactic that's ruffled some feathers? Well, you tell me, you decide. But one thing's for sure, this whole debate has really gotten people talking, and that's a good thing. It makes us think critically about the sports we love and challenges us to imagine what the future of the game might look like. And maybe that's the real legacy of the tush push controversy. Not just a rule change, but a change in how the whole league thinks, right? A renewed focus on innovation, adaptation, and always striving for excellence. So next time you see that quarterback getting that extra push, remember, it's not just about gaining those few inches on the field. It's about how the game itself is evolving right in front of our eyes. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But hey, don't worry, we'll be back soon with more deep dives into the topics that matter. Keep those minds sharp, keep those debates lively, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.